As a channel that mainly talks about everyday carry, I've never really talked about the thing that we carry around the most, which is ourselves. Yes, there are a ton of cool products that can make your life easier, more productive, etc., etc. But nothing is more important than investing in yourself. So let's go ahead and talk about 5 ideas to make your 2023 happier and more productive. All right, so number 1 on this list is to be kind to yourself. One of the greatest things I've learned in therapy is to give myself the same compassion that I give to others. Oftentimes, our negative self-talk can be really toxic to our mental state, affecting our self-esteem, our creativity, our productivity, and our happiness. So the question remains, how can you extend the compassion that you give to others to yourself? And I believe that the answer to that is just mindfulness. See, before you can address the negative self-talk, you first have to know when it's happening. The way that I catch these pesky thoughts is simply through meditation, journaling, or any other mindfulness practice that you can think of. Try to create intentional silence with minimal distractions and pay attention to the thoughts that you have. The way I like to think about it is that if I wouldn't say it to a friend, then I shouldn't say it to myself. Meaning that I frame my self-talk in a compassionate and kind way, the same way that I would talk to a close friend. All right, number 2 on this list is to not run away from your feelings or try to rationalize them. Sometimes there are days where it feels like there's nothing you can do to try and make yourself feel better, and feeling that way sucks. If you're like me, you want to have an answer to every question or a solution to every problem. But unfortunately, sometimes life just doesn't work like that. And sometimes the only way isn't around, but rather through. On days like these, I just remind myself that I've got to weather the storm. There's no amount of thinking or rationalization that's gonna make myself feel better, and sometimes it actually makes me feel worse. So how can we make those moments where it feels like nothing will get better more bearable? Well, one of the things that I found that really works for me is just talking to or hanging out with a friend. Now, for me personally, it makes it even better if they don't know that I'm going through something. This way, it makes it easier to get my mind off of the issue at hand, because if they don't know anything, they're not going to ask me questions about it. You might be the opposite though. You might want to talk about it, and you might want to process your feelings with a friend. It really just depends on who you are, but I really do think that getting out, hanging out with your loved ones, hanging out with your friends really helps you get out of that funk. The bottom line is that I find that hanging out with people that I feel safe and secure around can help mitigate those feelings of hopelessness or mitigate those feelings of like nothing is gonna get better. And as I mentioned earlier, journaling, meditation, and other mindfulness practices can also help you get out of that slump if you are in one. Another idea is to indulge in your hobbies. You know, one of the things that I like to do is when I'm not feeling great, I like to go outside in my backyard and just chill out, get some sun. It's really good for your mental health. All right, the third idea on this list is to seek a change when you feel like you've hit a growth ceiling. Now, this idea might not be for everyone, but it's really helped me get my priorities straight. When I was working in retail, I developed a lot of great skills. I got way better at talking to people, I developed excellent customer service skills, and I was better at working in fast-paced, high-stress environments. However, after about 2 years, it got to a point where I felt like I learned all that I could in the position that I was at. And at that point, you might have guessed, I left. Now, there were a few reasons why I chose to leave, but one of the reasons is I felt like I wasn't growing at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to go and quit your job, but what I am saying is that if you ever feel like you've hit a growth ceiling, maybe consider learning something new. Maybe seek a promotion, maybe think about learning a new language or picking up a new hobby. The goal is to find ways in which you can continually grow and learn. All right, number 4 is to create cohesive productivity systems. Oftentimes we get caught up in a ton of different apps and notebooks in an effort to make ourselves more productive. The problem with that, however, is that information can easily get lost when you need to reference it. This drove me crazy. If I write something or if I plan something out, I want to know exactly where to find it. So what I did is I sought out to create differentiated yet cohesive productivity systems to help me organize my life. I have one app for my to-do lists. I have one app for planning out videos on this channel. I have one app for my calendar, etc., etc. And by doing that, I know exactly where to go for the type of information that I want to reference, such as notes. This helps because I know exactly where to go when I need to log information or when I need to reference information. For me, I personally use an app called Obsidian for my notes. I use Notion to plan out videos on this channel. I use Todoist for my to-do lists, and I use Apple Stock Calendar app for my calendar. All right, last idea on this list is that life isn't linear. Sometimes we like to oversimplify things, and that includes the idea of the life that we're trying to live. Life isn't a straight line of progress. There are ups and downs, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. Sometimes we don't move at all, and sometimes we even take steps backwards, and that's okay. Sometimes we aren't always productive, and sometimes we aren't always happy. But if you stop to think about it, is that really a bad thing? Think about it this way. If we were constantly happy, then we wouldn't really be able to truly appreciate happiness. Happiness is a lot about contrast. It's about knowing what it's like to not be happy and appreciating where you are in the moment. Think about having a meal when you're full versus having a meal when you're starving. Having a meal when you're starving is gonna be a lot more tasty than having a meal when you're full. And for productivity, consider the idea that it's okay to not be productive from time to time. It's okay to take breaks, and it's okay to slow down for a bit. There are only so many hours in the day, and you only have so much time, so spend it wisely. Alright guys, I know that this was a bit of a different video than what I usually make, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and if you really loved it, then maybe consider subscribing. If you want to see more of me, you can follow me on Instagram at MaraGhost. But guys, that is all. I hope you have a prosperous 2023 and a fantastic day. I've been MaraGhost, and I'll haunt you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Here we go.